Hey, so this is the Leadership Recognition Assembly, and it's already been a month since we've done it. Try to do this once a month. So again, your teachers are just observing, and when they see different students that have done, it doesn't have to be extraordinary, but just served with one of our leadership qualities, then they submit that, and I collect them for a month, and then I have the hard task of picking 6 or 7 of those to recognize. But I did, and so I want to do that today. So, in order to get started, let's see, Josh Joyner, Cooper Kimry, Kai Davis, Truitt Campbell, if y'all come down, Caroline Chan, Caroline Chan, Hannah Joy, Hayden Henry, Caroline, Hayden's here, very good. Good. Okay, so first I will tell you about what Cooper and Josh were nominated for, and it was valuing people. So the scenario or the situation was, I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we did the Lantern Ladies, did the persecuted church, and you're rotating through the classrooms. And so in one of those classrooms, these 2 young men noticed that there was no seats for the teachers, and they got up and said, hey, take our seats. And so they gave the seats to their teachers. He said, well, that happens all the time. Well, one, it doesn't happen all the time, but in order for that to happen, what do you have to do? One, you have to be attentive. There's probably people in the classroom who didn't even notice the teachers were standing and, are just kind of consumed with themselves. And then the second thing is to take the initiative. One, recognize it, but then the second thing is to do something about it, if you're able to do something about it. So both these men valued their teachers, and you say, well, it's not that big of a deal, but it made an impression enough that a different teacher was watching and said, they are valuing people, and so they took time to do that. So again, thank you guys for being an example of valuing people. Okay, so Kai Davis, one of his teachers, just was talking to students, and it was interesting to the teacher that the student mentioned Kai specifically. And say, Kai is always, and I say always, I know he's probably not always doing it, but consistently just encouraging people. He has a good attitude, and he kind of goes out of his way to do it. And it's interesting, the teacher said, yeah, people who sit around Kai, they seem to enjoy my class more. Now, I don't know what that means, Kai, but I think it's because of his attitude. I don't think he's a goof. I've had him in class. He's a little goofy at times. I understand. We all are. But it's specifically that another student said, hey, he takes time to notice me and to say something nice and encourage me. And you say, well, I do that all the time, hopefully you do, but again, it's that noticing people and taking time to invest in them, even though it could be a sentence, a few words. I encourage you to do that. So Kai, thank you for being an example of valuing people. Okay, Truitt, as you know, Truitt's in charge of Stuco, so he's up in front in different assemblies and stuff. And he's not the only one who works hard in Stuco, but one of his teachers that works with Stuco has noticed, and I have too, I work with him. Truitt, I got stuck going backwards. Truitt is taking time to not only, he has to pull off the event, right? So he plans, along with others, all the events that go around homecoming and any other student assembly. So he takes time to do that. But on the backside that people don't notice is he's documenting everything very thoroughly of what's happening. And you say, okay, fine, how's that help? Well, he's being a stepping stone, because a stepping stone allows somebody to get farther down the road than they are, or farther down a path. And Truitt is investing his time and energy, which he has a lot going on in his life, and he doesn't have to do it, but he is taking the time of his own initiative to document everything. So whoever it is that's Stuco president next year, they have a really good platform to step off of to go even better and higher. And so that's an example of somebody who is being a stepping stone. And you could be doing that, and maybe you work in the church nursery. How do you make it better for the next person? So there's a lot of different things that you guys are involved in. Just thinking, how do I make it better for who's coming behind me? Make it easier for them to do their job. So, Truitt, appreciate you. Okay, Miss Caroline and Hannah Joy, up in the, I guess, the freshman locker room. They, I think one of the days during HOCO was clues, so they did the outline of the body laying on the floor, all like they got killed. Which again, he says so. Then they cleaned up. Somebody cleaned up. I don't know if they did. Pulled the tape up. Well, the thing about tape is it leaves a sticky residue. So those up in that locker room, what'd you see after about 2 days? You saw a dirty outline of a body in the locker room just because of dust and dirt on the floor. And it's like, oh, the person came back. And so anyway, and again, they were asked to do it, so they didn't take the initiative to do it, but they went back. They were asked to, and they went. And I've cleaned up some of that. I was started, and other people had started. It's not easy to get that stuff off the floor. And the good thing that they did is they were incredibly thorough. It was their job. They were involved in the cleanup and headed that up to an extent. And so it was their job to finish it and get everything cleaned up. And they did it very, very well. And it took a lot of time of their after school, on hands and knees, scrubbing and scraping and everything else they had to do. So, again, just an example of doing your job and doing it well and finishing it all the way through. So, appreciate you, ladies. Okay, last but not least, as they say, is Hayden. So, Mr. Hayden, and I really, I've had Hayden in class, and I can see him doing this. The teacher that submitted this, they said that Hayden's probably one of the, he's at the top of kids that work hard in class. Very diligent. Anyway, notebooks were due. Hayden forgot to turn his notebook in. And so later that afternoon, he slipped in, turned it, he just put it back with everybody else's. And he could have slipped in at a time when nobody noticed, right? Just put in there. Teacher hasn't graded notebooks. He doesn't know any difference. But Hayden made a point to go up to the teacher and say, hey, I didn't turn it in on time. Just want you to know it was late. So in doing that, he put himself a little bit at risk. He knew his grade could get knocked, however much it was for being late. And he took that risk because his integrity was important. He wanted to make sure he's doing right. And he's getting recognized for doing the hard thing. In today's culture, and it's going to get progressively more difficult for you to stand up and to do what is right, even to speak truth, because you'll get labeled some type of homophobe or something if you do speak truth, even if you speak it lovingly. And you have to make a decision that, hey, is it going to be worth, are you going to speak the truth regardless of the consequences? And Hayden did that. I don't know. It doesn't matter if his grade got docked or not. He chose to do what was right, regardless of any consequences. And that's hard to do. And it says a lot about a young man or a young lady that would do that. So, Hayden, appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, you guys can sit. Very good. Thank you. Okay, the last thing. Very good. So, Mr. Smith, if you'll pull up the final schedule. Hey, I'm just going to run through this. Make sure you understand. So if you have any questions, you can see me later, and we'll go over this. Okay? So we're almost done. So just, again, tomorrow's normal. So if you have finals, it's just normal day. You get out at 12:25. Thursday, you can see it starts a little bit different. I don't know if you can read it. They're up in the hallways. But the yellow part is we put in a tutoring time, which is optional. It's from 8:10 to 10 o'clock, I believe. I should look so I don't mislead you. I think it's 8:10 to 10. So almost 2 hours. That is optional. Okay? You don't have to be here. Okay? You can sleep in till whenever you have to get here by 10. Okay? But there are some of you, maybe not very many, but there's some of you who need to talk to a teacher and work with a teacher to get ready for a final. There are some of you who have a few zeros that have to get turned in before Friday, before you leave. Not before Friday, before you leave on Friday. Okay, so some of you need to work with a teacher. Maybe it's an assignment, quiz, make up a quiz or a test, or you need to get ready for a test. So that is an optional time. Okay, now here's the criteria, just so you know. If you're here, you can be in a few places. You can be in a teacher's room working, not hanging out. Okay, they don't want you in there goofing off because they're working with other students. So if you get here and you work with a teacher for a while, then you get done and it's 9 o'clock. Okay, where do you go then? You go to the cafeteria. Okay, so if you're not doing anything, you need to be in the cafeteria. You can hang out, study in there. We don't want you up in the locker rooms or down in the locker room. So just be in the cafeteria if you're not working with a teacher. And if you don't need to be here, don't be here. First final starts at 10:05. Okay, so that's the first final of the day. Then we have locker check, takes a few minutes, and you have lunch. Okay, then after lunch, we have final period 2. So our second final of the day. After lunch, juniors and seniors only. If you guys do not have a test 2 or a test 3, you may leave after lunch. Okay, you can't leave before lunch. Okay, but after lunch, you guys can go. There you go. Okay? If you do have a final, please stay and take it. Now, if you're a sophomore and you say, oh, I don't have a test 2, okay, you can't leave. Sorry. You say, well, I can drive. No, you're going to be here. Okay, juniors and seniors may leave if they're done. Okay. The study period, so that kind of blue, light blue, greenish down there before test number 3. So you have a little bit of a study time before the third test. It's like 25 minutes. Okay, listen. That study period has to be in the classroom where you're going to take your last final of the day. So if I am doing my, history final or whatever it is, during that third period, I'm going to be in that classroom, wherever that is, and they're in different locations. Okay, so that's not a go wherever you want. You have to be in class. They'll take attendance with that one. Okay? Okay, on Friday, we have a shorter study time. Okay, Kai, thank you. On Friday, there's another tutor time. Okay, tutoring time, it's a little bit shorter. I think it's till 8:30. So again, you don't have to be here till 8:30 if you don't need that time. Then you have a final. Again, you have another study period that you will be in, whatever your last final is for the day. You're in that classroom for that study time. Again, 25 minutes, it's not very long. Then you take your last final, and then we come back in here for the Christmas assembly, and there's a lot of things going on for that one. So it'll be a good assembly, then you'll be out at a little after, around 12 o'clock, maybe a little before 12. Okay? Okay, a couple of reminders. I've already mentioned one. Hey, zeros. So if you have zeros, I's, that all needs to get turned in before you leave on Friday. That's your 0 day. Okay, if you don't turn it in and you have too many zeros, then you could possibly flunk the class. Let's see what else. Absences this week. Remember, this is unexcused. So if you just miss, you don't have a reason for it, you have to make up the time. Okay, now if you wake up tomorrow with 102 fever, okay, you didn't choose that. Okay, if you're sick, okay, we're not going to make up, you don't have to make up time for being sick. Okay, the absences will count against you and all of that. If you are at the limit of absences, which you can only have 9 and still get grades in that class, if you're at that or over it, probably need to come see me or Mr. Littlejohn because you can only have 9. So if you're sick, you need to get a doctor's note if you're at that 9 or very, very close, because that'll excuse it. Okay. I think that's about it. So just encourage you. I wish I could recognize more people. For example, like last night is a junior high basketball games. I'm talking about the leadership, flipping back to that. And I don't know, Reese Kufal and some others, we were, after the game, we're picking up trash, and she just walks up there and starts picking up trash. So there's a lot of people like Reese that are that do a lot of really amazing things. And I say amazing because it's just not normal. I'll give you another instance. The junior high played at Whittier, which is a Norman junior high school. And I don't know, a week or two ago. Anyway, so after they were done, the 8th grade, and then again, they had a really good team. They beat our 8th grade guys. What's amazing, though, is our 8th grade guys, after they came out of the locker room or wherever they were getting changed at, they went and cleaned the entire all the bleachers. I don't know if they were told to do that. Even if they were told, they did it. And I wasn't watching our kids. I was watching the Whittier parents. And they kind of had a they were just like, they were pointing, and then they were talking. So I know they were talking about the guys cleaning everything up. And again, I don't know what they said, but it's just very unusual for people to take ownership of their own messes, even in a public space where you think, oh, well, they pay somebody to clean this up. Well, it's your mess. It's my mess. And so we clean up. Even we help clean up other people. And so those little things make a big difference because it is very rare that those things happen. And so just encourage you, keep doing it. I wish I could recognize all the Reeses and the others that are doing those things, but we'd be up here a long time. So I pick a few every month. So continue to do that. You are making a difference. And when you leave here, if you continue to do that, it'll make a big difference. You'll influence people, and you'll open doors for yourself. You'll open doors for the gospel because people will say, hey, why are you doing that? Why do you even care about the trash on the floor? And you say, hey, I just want to do things well, And then you can say, hey, I know somebody who did things well for me, Jesus Christ. He died for me. He didn't have to, but he chose to. So again, in different situations, it opens the door for the gospel as you live a life of excellence. So I encourage you to do that, okay? Develop that habit so you don't have to think about it. You just naturally do certain things. So you are doing that. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. I tell people about you all the time that, hey, you should see what our kids do. And sometimes they're told, and sometimes they're not. So thank you for that. Let me see. Oh, we're right on time. Seniors need to stay. They need to do a quick something that John Riley is in charge of. Everybody else, you are dismissed to third hour. Thank you.